My name is Mark Moykins, and I'm working on my book called SwiftData Mastery here. And I'm adding a new chapter. I already released this book, but as I started working on other Swift data projects, I found that there's some information that I wanted in this book to reference instead of going into like different projects that come with the book. So I'm taking some of that information and from the projects that are included with the book, and I'm just putting them in a new chapter called Integrations. And in this chapter, it's going to have how to integrate with PhotosUI, charts, and MapKit. So I've been working on some examples here. I have an example for PhotosUI. I have an example for MapKit. Now I'm working on the example for charts. So I'll probably just do this for like half hour or so, and we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm working on the model. I have the chart model set up. It'll just have a name and the labels for the x-axis going across the bottom and the y-axis over on the side. And then it has a relationship to plot models, and these plot models contain the values that will be charted on the chart. So that has an order, so we can keep the values in order. Some people might use a date if the plots go by date. So this is kind of like just generic, where you can set your own order, use your own values. Values are double. And then it has a relationship back to the chart that it belongs to. All right, so that's the models. Where I left off last time was I need to create mock data for it first. So the idea is I want to set up the mock data. So then when I start working on the UI, it shows data automatically. And then it's easier to format and build your UI when you have mock data available. So that's what I'm going to do. And it's just going to be one chart with maybe about, 7 or 8 plots. So let's create our chart, and I'm going to insert that using a container. Insert, and I'm going to insert a new model, a chart model. And let's see. So minimally, it needs a name. So I got to think about what I want to chart. I think we left off on that live stream. We left off with some idea. I forgot what it was, though. No, maybe not. Yeah, I don't even have it here. So we just want to chart something simple. Let's see, maybe we'll make it days. We'll chart a week of something. Maybe chart how many lines of code the person does. So we'll call this coding progress. There we go. And then for our x-axis, whoops, inside there, there's x-axis name. This will be date. Y-axis, that'll be lines of code. Okay. So now we need some plots. And let's see. What I'm going to do is, for plots, I need to reference them. Like we'll say plot 1. Yeah. Let's see. Let me think about this. Yeah, I have an idea. Actually, I have a different idea. Let's have Xcode do this for us. Not Xcode. Bing Copilot. We'll give it a little challenge here. So I copied my model because that's what I wanted to create data for. So what I'm going to say is, I am live, yes. It's been a long time. So I'm going to create mock data for plots, and it's going to be lines of code over, let's say 7 days, 1 week. So I'll say create a week's worth of data, say mock data, for this SwiftData model that includes days. Let me see. Okay. Where the label will be a date and the value will be a random number between 100 and 1,000. Ignore chart. All right, let's see if we can figure that out. Awesome. Yep. Perfect. That's what we need. Okay, yeah, for the date, it's going to add a date for every index, 0. So I'll start with today's date and just add a week to it. All right, good. So let's copy that. And we'll go back into Xcode. Go back to where we're creating our mock data right here. Paste that in. And so I need to, what is it, mock data plot? So, okay, so we have an array. All right, that's good. So what we can do is, since we have a chart up here, I'm going to extract this into an object because I need to reference it later. So we'll say let chart equal, and then we'll insert that chart. Now, why am I inserting it? When it comes to relationships, what I found is you should insert one side first and then append the related items to it. If you try to insert them all at the same time, both sides of the relationship, if you try to insert them all at the same time, I notice that leads to errors. So what I'm doing is inserting one side first and then appending the others. And when you append, so we have a chart. So when we append the plots, it'll automatically create the plots and it will set both sides of the relationship, meaning it'll add our chart to each plot. Okay. Yeah. All right, so let's see. So we have our chart, then we need our plots. It's plots, right? Yeah, plots equals. It'll just be mock data. I want to rename this. Let's not use mock data. Let's just use plots. There we go. All right, so now that we have some mock data, let's test it. We're going to put this in our view here. So we created this view, and this view doesn't shows the wrong data. It's basically a template that I created that uses an existing model here. So to catch you guys up, this is what I'm doing is I'm working on a chapter in my book, SwiftData Mastery. So I'm adding a new chapter called Integrations, and I'm just kind of doing this live, like coding it live, to kind of get back into doing videos again. But I want it to be super casual because when I used to create videos last time, I think I got infected by this perfectionism disease, and then it basically paralyzed me from creating videos anymore. So I'm keeping this casual here. All right, so we need to change these models here. We're using the chart model. This will be charts. Yeah. So we can have many charts, but we'll only have one chart. And that will be, we'll just show chart name. I just want to make sure that it's actually working and it's showing, can show data. This will be chart model dot preview. All right, good. There it is. There's our chart. It's working. So this preview, what this does, if you want to go back and take a look at that, that returns a model container. So that's what this modifier here needs a model container. So not only are we creating a custom model container, which is storing everything in memory right here, so nothing gets persisted, which makes it perfect for previews. We're also using this opportunity to add mock data once we have the container, because the container has a model context, and that model context can be used to insert data. The container is what's used to persist that data. So we're good to go here. Notice I didn't have to call save. So I didn't have to call container.main context.save because autosave is on by default. All right, good. So we have our data there. So what I'm going to do is, this is most likely like a, a parent detail type of scenario where you have your charts, like a list of charts, and then you click on one and then you see the chart details, right? So I think what I'll do is I'll put this in a navigation view or navigation stack. And then when you, then we'll navigate to another view to show the chart, the actual chart. All right, so let's embed this navigation stack. We'll give it a name. We'll just say charts. And this, fix the indenting there. This will be a navigation link. And I'm just going to go with a simple one here. I have to keep things simple because this code goes in a book and it has to fit on a page. And so I usually don't go into detail on anything unless it's what it is I'm teaching. Okay, so for now, let's just copy that. We'll put it in the where we're navigating to and the label. So you click that, going progress. Okay, that's fine. This is what's actually going to be the subview that contains the chart. All right, so I'll extract this into a subview. And this will be my chart view. That. And when we click on that, we'll have to pass in this chart right here. So I'll just create a parameter for it. Chart. Pass in the chart. So we'll keep this as a read only, display only. I'm not going to make it bindable because we're really concentrating on the integration. And earlier in the book, it talks about all kinds of different ways to edit your data. So I don't think I'm going to cover that here. Like if someone wants to learn how to, edit data in SwiftData, they'll go to another chapter. So let's just keep this as read only so we can use a chart, show people how to use a chart to display SwiftData data. So let's just use a let chart model. There we go. And that should work. So we come in here, we see coding still. Okay, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to extract it into a different view. Or not, I already extracted it. I'm going to take it. I'm going to put it in a different file. So let's create a new file here. Chart view. I think that's what I called it, right? Yeah, chart view. Okay, so one of the things that I'm really focused on is always being able to show mock data in your previews. So let's take care of that right now and make sure we can, design our view with mock data. So what I'm going to do is, let me fix the indenting here. I'm going to use that function that we created before, or property, this static preview property, it's basically going to be this one right here. Except we're not going to use the model container. We're not going to need it in this case, because we're not going to do a query, and we're not doing any Swift data operations, like insert, update, deletes. So we don't need the model context. So that's why we don't need the modifier, the model container modifier. So I'll just say container equals our preview. Yeah, that's right. Casual Coding Fridays. You are the casual coder. Scott. Okay. Now, remember this container, what it did is it created our container, which also gives us access to the model context, which also has mock data in the model context, right? So we need to get that data. We need to use the model context to fetch that data and return one chart. So we'll say chart equals, and then I'm going to do a try. And I know I have data in there, so that's why I'm using the exclamation. And then I want to do container, access the model context through this main context property. And I'm going to do a fetch. And that fetch takes a fetch descriptor, and you have to pass in what the type is that you want back. And I want chart models back. So we're going to initialize that. So now, I need to import Swift data. There we go. So now what this returns is actually an array of charts. I don't want an array, I just want one. So I'm going to access index 0 and get the first chart. Okay, now that we have that, I can pass it in. Okay, that should do it. Because there's statements in the preview, I need to explicitly return it now. And before I return it, I want to actually embed this in a navigation stack too. Now let's return it. And let's just let that render, make sure we have some data here. All right, good. Coding progress, that's the name of our chart. And we're getting that from this property right here. Okay, what I'm going to do is probably start with a VStack. And let's give this title, navigation title. I'll just say, let's use the name, the chart name, coding progress. Okay, and then we actually want our chart right here. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, so that book I wrote comes with 4 projects, and one of the projects has charts in it. So I'm actually going to go to that project, and I'm just going to copy that code and revise it for this example in the book. I have the project open right here. And it starts with the home view. So let's go in here. I think it's chart view is the one I want. Yeah, this is it. So I'm going to copy this chart. And what I'll do, like for the book, you got to remember, like I'm limited by how many lines of code I can show in the book. And I want to keep it small as possible, but still communicate the main concept that the person needs to know so they can look at it, get an idea of what they need, the essentials, and then quickly use it and put it in their own project. And then they'll go and they'll customize it any way they want. So let's take what we need here. We have the chart. We're passing in a chart model. Refresh chart. I don't think I'm going to need that. There's some scenarios. The reason why this is in there, there's some scenarios where I don't know if it's because of the observation framework or Swift data, but there's some scenarios where your data doesn't refresh once you edit it. Especially, usually it refreshes when you edit, but it doesn't refresh always when you delete. And for some reason, that's the main problem. Is like you delete data, the view doesn't refresh. You edit it, it refreshes fine. You insert, it refreshes fine. But when you delete that out, we'll leave that out. I'm going to leave all the formatting out. This is just going to be a plain chart. See, and that's how I refresh. I just add an ID, and all I do is change this value, and it will refresh the data, and it will go through the for each again. So let's copy this part. I'll need that sorted part too. Okay, let's fix this. I need to import the chart library. I don't have sorted plots. Let's get that. So here's the thing. You might be wondering, like, why am I sorting these? Can I use the sort on a query? And unfortunately, no, you can't. Not in relationships. It'd be cool if they add that later. But right now, when you return relationship data, you can only sort like if you think of it as like parent child, you can only sort the parent. But if it has many children attached to every single parent, you can't sort that data yet. I bet they'll be coming out with it later. So that's why I have this computed property here. Now, another thing I could do is I could put this computed property on the model, which I think I'm going to do. Let's see how it goes. What I'll do is I'll keep it in here for now and see how many lines of code I have. And if this view starts to get too big, I'll move it into the model because, remember, I got to put this into a book, and I try to keep code examples to one page. So what I'm doing here is grabbing the plots from the chart. So we have this chart, and this chart has this plots property, which has an array of plot models. And then I'm using this sorted property, which is just an array, an array property, one of these functions that you have on arrays. And this is kind of like the longer way of doing it, where it kind of shows you like, oh, when you do a sort, you pass in plot 1, plot 2, and then you compare them. So I'm comparing the order, and this is just a numeric value. If we take a look here, let's see, plot order. So you see that's just using the index here. So it's going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. So that's another thing to know about SwiftData is when you pull back data, it's not necessarily in the order that you added it. It can be in any random order. So you have to, it's up to you to be able to sort it and put it in the order that you want. Okay, this actually looks good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of this formatting because I need more lines of code. Even though it looks pretty cool. There we go. So there's your basic chart. And I'm going to put some padding around that. Okay. And we want to show the X and the Y axis because that's in the chart model. So let's go back to the other project where I do that. And that's what these values are right here, like this Y axis 6. That's formatting. This basically, see, it's really strange. I don't know why Apple did it this way, but when it shows the Y axis, it puts it over on the trailing side. And it seems like by default, it would be on the leading side. I don't know. That's just me. So that seems a little strange that they do that. So that's what this modifier does. I'm going to leave this out because that's more lines of code that we don't need in the book. So this is what we want right here. There's right there, lines of code. Goes from 0 to 1,000. Hey, wait a minute. It put it in the right place. Because of this position? Yeah, it is. Look at it. By default, it puts it up here. I don't remember that last time. So I don't think oh, this is the axis marks. See, the numbers are on the leading side. That's the problem. See, the numbers are on the trailing side right here. It seems weird, right? So okay, it puts it over here and it puts the numbers. So what do I want to do? I'll leave it like that. Lines of code. Let's add the x-axis right here. Oops. All right, then we have the date down here. Okay, that's good. I will remove these lines and I'll add them back if we need to. Okay, I think that's good enough. I think someone can come in here and they will understand. This will be enough for them to get them started. They have their sorted plots. There's a for each inside the chart that goes through all the data from that you got from SwiftData. It adds a label, adds the values, and it uses the names from your chart for the X and Y values there, the labels. And it shows the name and the navigation title. So we're using all of our data that's in our models, which is what we want. Let me just look at the model real quick. Okay, we have the relationship set up. And let's go to plot model. And it's using the label, the value, and the plot order. Okay, good. So we have everything we need right there. All right, and that does it for our examples. We have the PhotosUI example. Wait for that to come up. Yeah, we have this where you can go in and we can select an image. That's good. We have the MapKit integration. Go in here. It opens up to the map. They can select a location. They can change the location. And it updates it. Now we have charts where you can go in here and go see the chart. One thing that I'll do, since this is a separate view, when it comes to books, like smaller text is super hard to read, especially in a screenshot. So I try to increase the size of everything on the screen. So I'm going to take this. I'll probably change it to title. That way they can see it on the page when I show the screenshot. Chart view. Let's see how many lines. I think we have some extra lines that we can use here. Usually when it starts to get about 40, 45, that fills up the page. And we're at about 44 right now. Also in the book, I also like to include previews because I think that's super important for the readers to see, like how to get your mock data to show in your views. So I try to include the previews when I can. So let's do that. We have our code. I'm going to open up the book now. SwiftData. Right here, I'm going to open up the pages. And we're going to start taking this stuff and adding it. Now, so the book is in light mode, right? Let me resize this to the stream. So what I'm going to do, like my system is in dark mode right now. And when I add this, I need Xcode to be in light mode as well. And this is going to work. And then I need to also make this text size smaller because that saves me some steps when I add it to the book. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to go into our system settings. We're going to change everything to light mode. Put your sunglasses on. It's going to get bright. And then this needs to go down to 11 points. Okay, it's at 13, so 2 more. There we go. Oops. And it's at 11. Okay, good. So now let me show you how I do this. So we'll start with the integration with PhotosUI. And in the book, the first thing I do, so I kind of set up like the outline or the skeleton for the chapter, right? So this is the chapter page right here, integrations, and I'm using this little puzzle piece to show integrations. And then I have the inside a chapter, I have sections. So we have PhotosUI, MapKit, and charts. These icons, I'll be changing those. But these descriptions are good, and all the shortcuts or the page links are all there. And this is good enough for now. I'll add icons to it later. And then I start off with, here's the model we're going to be using. And then I show them an example of how I use this model in SwiftUI, and then emphasize what it is I'm actually teaching. So in this case, it's PhotosUI. So good. So let's go to our Xcode, and we start with the model. So let's go into our PhotosUI. So this one is using property model right here. And I'm using these two things. So let me grab this model here. Oh, okay. Hold on. I need to change the indentation too. In the book, I use 4 spaces for indentation, but when I was doing streaming, I turned it down to 2 so you could see more with less line wrapping. Let me change that back. If I can remember where it was, I changed it. Editing, indentation. Let's copy that. So yes, I use Apple Pages to create books. This is one of the main reasons why is this right here. It retains all the formatting when I copy it from Xcode into Pages. And I like color coding. I think it makes it easier to read. Now you notice there's, I don't know if you can notice in the live stream, but there's, and when you copy it from Xcode, it actually copies the background color behind the text too. So I have to manually remove that every time. What I used to do is just make the background the same color as the book and just leave it in there. But one of the problems that you run into is, especially with like EPUB, that background color can cut off the top line of the next line. So you see this like text getting cut off if you use you know, line spacing. That's only if you don't space out the lines. But I just made it a habit to remove the background. So you just come in here, remove the background, and that's fine. And then so line spacing, I usually crank that up a little bit, give it some space. There. Then so I show the model that we're going to be using, and then I also show the extensions if there's any extensions that we're going to be using on the model. When I say extension, I mean like usually in here, these are things I added to the model to assist it in some way. And then usually that's like computed properties. So we do have a computed property. Let's grab that, and it's to help us format and show the image. Paste that in there. Go in, remove the background. Give it some space. Okay. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and then I usually update the description, let them know what the model I'm going to be using. Then I let them know where they can find it in the companion project. Okay. All right, and then I actually show them the example. So for this, we'll just we'll say this is usually I do something like intro. So for this, I'll just say PhotosUI example. You know what? I usually display how I'm creating the mock data too, because I think that is really helpful if they can see like how the mock data is put together, how I insert it, am I using a loop, you know, how do I handle relationships and inserting relationships? I think that information is valuable. So let's back up. Let's go to the previous page. I have a template for this, and it's right here. Preview property with mock data. Let's copy that. And let's paste it in there. This one's kind of long. Let's figure this out. I don't think there's anything I'll be able to do with this except move image. Let's handle the formatting here. See how this works. I usually do either or, right? I'm not really married to the idea of like I can format it in Xcode and then put it in the book, or put it in the book and format it in the book. I try to keep it consistent when I can. So let's see how much space that takes up. Oh, you know what I just did? Like the golden rule of what not to do. Don't hit Control A or Command A inside of pages because it will select everything throughout the whole book. You gotta make sure your cursor is in the text field first, and then hit Control A. Yeah, that looks better. Then I show them an example of like how to display it. Get the This will be tricky. Still doesn't have enough room. All right. I will this. This text is repeated all throughout the book, so I don't think they'll have any trouble understanding this. And being one of the last chapters, I think they'll see this enough times so they'll know what's happening. Remove the background. Okay, good. And then let's show the view. Expand that. See how much I can expand it before it gets cut off. All right, that's good. Let's remove the background. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually make this a video. So let's record that video. In order to record the video, I'm going to grab this, hit my startup, run it. I usually use the Pro Max for the book. I need to change something. Give me 1 second. I just have to change the background on the screen where I'm recording it. I have to change it to white so it matches the book. Otherwise, when I record the video, you'll see the little corners, you'll see green trees. There we go. And to record, I usually just use Command-Shift-5. So I think the screen I'm streaming is going to look dark because only the part that's recording light. Record that. Oh, man. I think this updated because it's not giving me access into the photos library. Okay, hold on. I'm going to delete that. Something in here changed. This doesn't look right. It's showing me, I don't know, cloud images that it's trying to sync. This right here. I've never seen this before. Usually it just shows like these, default images, but now all this is coming up and I'm not sure why. If I get rid of these options, I don't know. I don't know, maybe I'll just have to record the video like this, include these things. I wonder, am I logged in? Oh yeah. Okay. That's the reason why. I think it's trying to sync with other things on my iCloud. This was the reason why I'm logged into this is because the last chapter I created was for CloudKit, so you have to be signed in to test it. So let me sign out. Now let's test it. There it is. Okay, let me bring this back down. I'm going to record this again. There. On. Messed up. Do that over. should be good. Now what I do is, so I have my video here, right, that I recorded. Then I trim it to the point where I actually click on something there. Try to keep the videos as small as possible. There. Done. Add that to the book. That. 20 pages are in the book. Good question. Let's take a look. I'm on 514 right now. Add the video. Get that in the corner there, and then resize it until it hits the margin right there. And then what I do is I usually put an indicator on here showing that it's a video, because if the person views the book in PDF, PDFs can't play videos, but I want to let them know, like, hey, this is a video, so it might not show, like, don't expect it to show what might be on the screen. Do I have that icon available anywhere? I got one right here, so let me just copy that. Stick that right there. Okay. So this isn't where the image selection is actually happening. It's actually happening in this subview right here. So what I'm going to do is let's highlight that and let the reader know this is where the action is really happening. Passing in a property. There. And we'll create an arrow. Let's do it. Okay. And like I said, I like to create, include the preview so they can see like how it's being used, because I think that's important. So let's add another page. I have this template here. And if it's a second page, I try to alternate the positions. That's a convention that I have in this book. This is a fixed layout book. So things don't, when you change the device sizes, it doesn't reflow the text and the images. Everything stays together. Change the name of this here. This is actually property detail. Yeah, you buy the book today, it's only going to have, it's only going to go up to 508 pages. It'll end on the CloudKit chapter. Are updates available after we purchase the book? Yeah. Yep. Everyone who's bought this book will get this new chapter for free. All right, let's grab that detail view now. Property detail view. This might be too long. So you see how it ends on line 50 right here? That might be too small for you guys to see. But I think that's going to flow off. So these are like the challenges that I run into. So we got an extra line up here. So this is good. The view fits, but not the preview. I think the preview is important for this. So we'll probably have to put the preview on a separate page, just so I can show them like how you can use the model container and how you can fetch one record and then pass it in to the subview to mock it out and display that information. So here's how you do that. We're just going to add another page. And another one of these pages here. Let's call this. Let's delete that. And we're going to have it overflow into here. Oh, wait. Do we? No, we're not going to have it overflow. Forget that. We're just going to copy it, the code that we want. Let's get that. Yeah, that's good. We'll grab the preview. Like that. Hey, Chris. Welcome. Okay, so we have the code in there. Let's get rid of that background color. I don't think we'll be able to add any more line spacing. Yeah, it's going to go right off there. But let's get a screenshot what that detail image looks like, a detail view. Okay. Now when I take screenshots, I have to, I don't know if you guys ever noticed like the size of a screenshot from the simulator. It's huge. It's so big. And it's way too big for a book. So what I do is I cut it in half. So I created these automation examples. So I could just right click the image, and go to quick actions and resize it so it's half the size. And then I run it through this other app called Image Optimize, which you can see here. It optimized the image. It cut the size down more than half. So I do that so the book doesn't swell up, become really big. Let's get that image in there. I put a little note to myself, use width 214. So let's go to 214. There. And voila, there we go. Okay, now the most important thing here is when you're using PhotosUI is you have the photos picker and you have this task. And this is where in this task, this gets called when selected photo changes, right? It's like the on change event. So these are the two things I want to highlight. So what I do in this case so when a reader comes here, the reason why a reader will look at this page is because they'll come back to this book and say, oh, I want to use a photo picker now. How do I do that? So I want to highlight the most important parts so they can quickly get the code they need and then get out and go back into their project. So I have a certain style for this. It's this rounded rectangle with a thinner line. I wish I could preset the corner radiuses, but I can't. Let's get that in position there. We need another one. This is the other part that makes it all work. Like that. Okay, and then I want to call their attention to it, right? Oh, I see. I think my image is covering up part of it. Let me put it over on the other side. There we go. So just let anyone know anyone new who's come in. I'm working on a book that I've already released, and this is for SwiftData Mastery. That's what this book is right here. I've already released it, but I'm adding a new chapter that shows integrations with PhotosUI, MapKit, and charts. Okay, so we're going to add some annotations here. That's what these things are called, annotations. Just to call attention to them, like this is the button to pull up photo picker. And we'll kind of show them the connection. Like this code equals this button right here. And this we'll put to the top, bring that to the front like that. There we go. Then quick, make a quick association. I try to keep it as visual as possible because, I don't know if you guys know this, but I've done some research into this. You're not going to remember that code, when you see it. But the most important thing is you're going to see the picture and you're going to know it's possible. And once you have the picture you can recall. There's been studies like up to 60,000 times faster you can recall pictures than code, right? We can't memorize code, for all different situations. And, let's be honest, adding a photo picker to your app, you probably do that once per app and then never touch it again. So that's the purpose of this book, is just, of this chapter, is just give you a quick reference like, oh, I know it's possible. I've seen the picture. Now all I have to do is just look up the code and grab that code. All right, and then we can say something about this down here. Okay. Okay, for this, I'm just going to use a screenshot from the first page that we have here. Tap again. Oh, there we go. Good. Size. Optimize that image. Stick it in there. There we go. Let's take care of this text. Remove the background. Add some spacing to it. Okay. Oops. There we go. Highlight the most important parts. All right, I think that is good. Let's go on to MapKit. I don't have an introduction for this, so let's see. Populate. Focus. I don't know how to say this. Focus on a place on a map. Find a place on a map. Pinpoint a place on the map. Yeah, try that. All right, and It's the same thing again. You know, we start with the model, and it's kind of like rinse and repeat, right? I set up a system, and this isn't like, you know, like, oh, I'm just going to do this. It evolved over time. You know, it's like I tried a lot of different things, and this is what I ended up settling on. So we'll add another page. So we introduce the model, we show how we put together the mock data, and then we show what it looks like in the UI, and we point out the important parts. So that's kind of like the system I kind of came up with my books. That's, I guess you could say, the evolution of it. Okay, for this chapter, let's go to Xcode again and look at what we're using here. Yeah, this one's pretty simple. It just shows locations for ATMs. All right, yeah, when you go there, it actually focuses on where the ATM is. Okay. Oops. While I'm in here, I'm just going to copy that. We'll get to it in the book. Stick it right here. Save that for now. And so this describes ATM locations. It's just ATM model. Double check. Yeah, ATM model. Okay, so we'll just grab the model here. And then add the extension. This, we're going to have to do some formatting here. This isn't going to fit. Let me take a look, see what we're dealing with. Okay. We can probably put these on separate lines. Let's see how that looks. I'm just going to come in here, put my cursor inside the functions and hit Control M. Do the same down here. We'll see if that fits. Fits horizontally, but not vertically now. Okay. You know what we could probably do though? Yeah, I bet we could just put this on the same line. This will work. Yeah. And there we go. All right. Okay. Now in this one, I kind of want to talk about this extension property a little bit. So I'm going to add an annotation to kind of like point some things out. to create a map camera position. This is, it gets kind of deep, right? Like it goes from 1 to 1 to 1. And visualizing that and talking about it, sometimes it isn't enough. So sometimes what I will do is I'll create like a little flow chart so they can better visualize and get the concept of how all these pieces fit together. So let me try that and experiment and see how that comes across. So we start with one thing. There. Make this a little bit smaller. Application, which is used to create a region. Location. No, a coordinate region. Which is then used to create a map camera position. Let me add some arrows. Yeah. I think this, seeing things like this will help the reader kind of get a better idea of like what they're doing is they're actually, all they need is latitude and longitude data to store in their model. And from that, that's where they create all the objects from. All they need are just those two things. So that's the thing I want to emphasize here. Let me make sure these things are spaced. Objects. There we go. Okay, so we have our mock data. Let's look at that right here. That should fit. Perfect. Okay. Okay. That looks good. Here, let's see, what did I say back here? PhotosUI example. So we'll say MapKit example, main view. Remove the background, give some space. Oh. Right. The reason, like, I don't have to have these things learn the spelling. My main point is the main reason why I do this is to get rid of the red squiggly line. Otherwise, I'll develop a blindness to it. So when it points out real things that are misspelled, I'll ignore it. The second reason why I do that too is because sometimes what I do is I'll come in here and make screenshots, do a screenshot of this and post it on social media. And in my screenshot, I don't want the red squiggly lines appearing, all over it. Okay, this is good. So our MapKit example, so we want a video for this one too. So let's go run this app and get a video. Let me close everything here. Go back to my map. We want to copy these 2 lines right here. I'm going to put that in our app here, paste it in here, and run it. All right. I'm going to record it so you're going to see the screen go dark for a little bit. There. Pretty simple. Then I'll come in here. There's my recording. I'm going to trim it right there. End it. There. Gotta trim it, keep the size down. Drag that in. There. There we go. All right. And all the actions happening in this sub view right here. I'll just come back here and grab these elements. Paste it in here. Stick it in here. Okay. All right. Well, at this point, I'm going to take a break. I've been streaming for a while now, over an hour, so I gotta limit this. But this whole purpose of this exercise is to kind of get used to streaming again, being in front of public, building in public, and kind of showing you guys the process that I follow as a publisher, as an author, and how I make books, how I come up with examples, how I come up with the mock data. So it's been fun for me to do. It's a new experiment for me, I guess. I want to do more of this to kind of connect with my audience. All right. Well, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out, and I'll see you in the next stream, which